you have your own personal brand, right? I don't know any other bank CEOs that have their own personal brand or their own personal logo even, right? That they actually put out there, right? I mean, some may have one and they might put it in their golf bag and say that's cool, but you have your own personal brand, and I think, from that perspective, like that's a cool thing to have, but you embrace that, right? Like that's,
yeah. There's no doubt I have the biggest ego in the room, right? Right. That's just the way. No, honestly. So someone asked me that about the other day about humility, and they said, you seem like a pretty humble guy. What do you do? I said, listen, being humble is pretty easy for me because I know me. I know the real me. I go home with me. So if you knew me as well as I do, you'd be humble too. But, no, I do think, we all do have a brand, and having been in some pretty high profile positions before, I'm probably more acutely aware of my brand maybe than some, because I've had to think about it as a living. When you're an elected official,
right,
that matters. I mean, it's part of the legislative process, and so my brain naturally goes there. But I think the way that you kind of keep that in check, because I think you do got to do a personal ego check every now and then, make sure you're not just out there trying. I think it's, what's your motivation? And if your motivation is to really build better lives, like we commit to do here at Chickasaw Community Bank, if it's really about helping people and providing a hand up to people around you and hoping that people around you succeed and do well, I think it's all worth it. And I think storytelling is part of it. And that's all that branding really is. It's what's your story. And everybody has one. Yeah. Everyone's unique. I got to be honest, I'm always fascinated that people take interest in when people do take interest in my story, because I think like everybody, we think, well, my story is just my story. It just happened, but it's unique to everybody. Like I'm fascinated by your story, coming here from a different country, staying for a girl. Yeah. It's a classic story of a boy meets girl, but it's the intricacies and the people involved and the twists and turns and the disappointments in that story that really provide the color and the texture, and more importantly, the lessons. Those are the lessons. Like, there are lessons in people's story, which is why that's the appeal of podcasts, right? It's hearing people's stories and extrapolating what's the lesson in that story. It's not just, stroking ego. Let me tell you about how great I am. Because frankly, that wouldn't take, it certainly would take 2 episodes, much less one. We could do that in probably about 30 seconds for me. Yeah. But I certainly got a story to tell. It hadn't always been roses and it hadn't always been rainbows and unicorns. Like my social media would tell you. I always tell my family, we want to be the people that we post about on social media, because those people have no problems. Right. They're smiling all the time. Life. Everything's great. So we strive to be those people, but we know we're not, and that's all part of the story.